Yo, salute to everybody already here in the building, man. You guys know what time it is. We are back. Salute to the greatest chat in YouTube history. As always, get those likes up. That means wipe them feet around here. And also hit that subscribe button if you guys are not subscribed yet. Salute the Green Dot Gang. I see you guys are heavy in the building. James Bowles, Jordy Robinson, JX, Enrique, all my people, man. Duke, Sebastian, appreciate you guys so much. Sicko Mode. If you guys want to become members of the channel as well, hit the link. It's pinned up top. It definitely helps us keep the lights on over here at OLV Raiders Network. Salute to my brother.com in the building as well, and Blazing Raider. A lot to talk about today, man. Yeah, it looks as though we may have a second interview with the number one option in most people's eyes in Raider Nation, right? Klint Kubiak. We're going to go over that here in a second. Also, going to go over the Shrine Bowl, you guys. I have some players in mind that the Raiders should potentially take a look at in the upcoming 2026 draft. We're going to go over that as well. Also want to go over my most recent mock draft. The last 24 hours, you guys, things have been kind of shaken up a little bit. My evaluations have kind of changed a little bit. And we're also going to talk about, I see the whole narrative on Twitter. I put up a tweet today and, things started going a little haywire in terms of the beat writers. We're going to talk about that as well, because salute to somebody that I'm not going to mention their name, but I got some clarification behind the scenes about, why there wasn't any representation from any of these guys at the Shrine or the Senior Bowl. It's been really radio silent in terms of our beat writers and the people that are in the building working there on a daily basis. But, we're going to go over that as well. So as always, Butter, you know what's so funny, man? He is in my latest mock draft, the linebacker out of USC. I double dipped at linebacker, actually. So, yeah, we'll go over that. But yes, that he's definitely a very much so intriguing prospect out of USC. I would definitely take a look at him in those 5th, 6th, up rounds if he's available there. Big dude. Salute to Butter, my dog, man. Also, salute to my guy, Sir Tin Man, as becoming a member as well. Appreciate you, brother. Welcome to Green Dot Gang. I think you were a member before. I believe you're just re-ing up your membership, but I appreciate you so much. So to my guy Primos in the building. Graphk, what do you rate your confidence when it comes to the Raiders hiring Kubiak? Does it seem to be a lock? I'll say this. Within the Raiders organization, I think that it's easily a lock in their minds that is the guy that they want to bring in as their next head coach. Now, again, it takes two to tango here, right? Tony Pauline put out 2 separate reports. One, speaking to Seattle and their brass, the scouts, and a ton of people that were at the Shrine Bowl. It's very clear that they would prefer to keep Klint Kubiak in Seattle as that Super Bowl window has opened up for them, right? Why wouldn't they want him to return to call the offense with Mike McDonald, and that phenomenal defense? It makes all the sense in the world. You're in the Super Bowl now. More than likely, you're going to beat the Patriots in Santa Clara, and you're going to get a championship out of it. Why wouldn't they want to keep him around? But again, you don't really get these many opportunities. I said it on yesterday's show. Sometimes you have to strike while the iron is hot. Does he want to remain an OC forever? I don't think that he would want to remain an OC forever. It looks as though he has 2 more interviews lined up, one with Arizona, where it sounds like he's not that interested in that job, and most people aren't. Todd Monken took the Browns job today, so there's only 2 jobs left out there. And Vance Joseph has been a guy that is, his name has come up a ton with Arizona. Mike LaFleur, as well, the OC with the Rams, has come up a ton. But it looks like he's going to at least take an interview with Arizona, but that he would preferably return to Seattle over the Arizona job. Now, that leaves us, right? Brady got a chance to watch him in the NFC Championship. He spoke highly of him that entire game. Some would actually say he kind of glazed Klint Kubiak in his play call in that game. And hey, look, Klint called a hell of a game. So Tom, glaze on, brother, glaze on. But I'll say this. With Davis Webb still not being named the head coach, it's clearly a backup plan type situation with Davis Webb. Doesn't really matter what Denver does. They have to go through a process here, to name their offensive coordinator, regardless of them firing their other one. It doesn't matter. They still have to go through a process. There's still the Rooney Rule that applies there. They have to go. This is not just a make Davis Webb the OC overnight out there in Denver. That can't happen. But again, it's clear that Davis Webb is the backup. He's the backup plan. He is definitely the backup plan. And they want Klint Kubiak. And it sounds like the Raiders' job is the only one that he's intrigued with. Simple and plain. Joe Brady went to Buffalo. He remains there with Josh Allen. And Klint Kubiak is the biggest name outside of probably John Harbaugh, which not probably, the most, that was the guy that everybody wanted during this cycle, not named John Harbaugh. I didn't want anything to do with Harbaugh, but again, a lot of other teams did. The Giants, gave him the earth, just gave him everything to be the head coach out there. But I'll say this. I think that Kubiak is definitely very much so intrigued with the Raiders job. He gets to coach Fernando Mendoza, Genty, Brock. And I think that he thinks it's a good situation. I know that I believe Tom Pelissero put a report out there today that some head coach candidates are kind of worried about the Raiders head coach job because they feel like Tom Brady, they don't know where he fits in the grand scheme of things, and there may be a power struggle there. That wasn't the words he used verbatim, but in a roundabout way, in a nutshell, that's what he said, right? And I don't buy any of that. I don't buy any of that. There could have been one candidate that maybe said, I don't know the role that Tom Brady plays in this. Again, this is Spytek's job, you guys. He is the GM. He is the GM. Simple and plain. Brady's not going to be in there every single day in those headquarters to make decisions. It's just not going to happen. He's not going to be there. He has a ton of other stuff going on. He owns tons of businesses. He calls games. There's too much for Tom Brady on his plate in order for him to be in the building every single day trying to call the shots. Now, when it comes to finding a head coach, he's definitely going to take part in that. The number one pick, he's definitely going to have some say in bringing in Fernando Mendoza. Why not? Again, that's why Mark Davis brought him in. He is the minority owner, and he could be a quiet minority owner if you want, but Mark Davis is intrigued with Tom Brady, the most winningest quarterback of all time. So he's going to have some say. But again, I want to kind of put that Tom Pelissero report to bed. This could have been an agent from one of these candidates that the Raiders didn't really give a real clear-cut shot at. I mean, look, what happened with Klint Kubiak, right? He just stepped away from the Raiders job to remain with the Niners. There's some other ones. Joe Brady came in for 2 interviews and then immediately pretty much signed with Buffalo. So again, there could be somebody and their agent saying, I don't really know if I like that situation, and kind of throwing a monkey wrench into our situation and making it seem like Tom Brady is going to be hovering over every single situation. Again, Tom has a ton of power. I'm not going to act as though Tom doesn't have a ton of power. But again, he's not going to be there on a daily basis, you guys. So don't buy into that Tom Pelissero report that, some candidates were worried about, Tom Brady and how much he would be involved in the process. Salute to SoCal Raider 34. I think the Raiders purposely brought in all those candidates that the Bills were also interested in to put pressure on the Bills to hire someone and remove the Raiders' biggest competitor for Kubiak. Definitely could be. We talked about that yesterday on the show, yesterday morning. I think it was a chess move by the Raiders. And definitely I think that Buffalo felt some pressure. Again, there was a bunch of talk about Klint Kubiak with Buffalo, but there was never any interview set up or anything. So Buffalo was probably like, I don't know if he wants anything to do with this situation out here, especially how messy it was with the GM, Sean McDermott, the owner, the Keon Coleman's debacle. He maybe said, I don't even want to have anything to do over there. But again, I think the Raiders have played this well. But if we miss out on Klint Kubiak and let's just say Davis Webb decides to go back to Denver and chooses to be an OC over being a head coach, we can be in really big trouble here, you guys, because we'll probably end up with a Brian DeBall who did accept the OC position down there with Tennessee. But again, if we offer him the head coaching job, he will go out to Vegas. So he's still an option. There's a few other guys that are still remaining out there. But again, if you miss out on the big fish, Klint Kubiak, I'd be really, really disappointed with this whole process, man. But I do believe that Davis Webb could be a really, really good head coach. And I know a lot of people are downplaying his experience and all that other stuff. I am one of those firm believers that I think that he could be a guy. He could be a guy. Salute to my guy, SoCal, as well. Schwartz would definitely be a good OC. I mean, a good DC. It looks like he's leaving Cleveland because Todd Monken got the job. I know Cleveland would like to keep him as the DC. He seemed like he thought in his head that he already had that head coaching job sewn up. I wouldn't be shocked, SoCal, if Schwartz went to the Niners, honestly. And he goes out there and takes Robert Salah's spot and just turns that defense into even bigger of a juggernaut next year with Fred Warner healthy, Bosa healthy, and a draft and a free agency. I don't think there's no real connection, at least that I know at this point, with the Raiders and him and potentially a Klint Kubiak or Davis Webb. I think that the Niners would come calling. I think that Shanahan would say, hey, come out here and do what you did with Cleveland out here with all these pieces that we have. I think that he would be definitely in the mix to be the DC for the 49ers, which I hate because I can't stand him. Salute to Alex, my guy, man. I tuned into the Senior Bowl today. Jacob Rodriguez looks like someone who could wear the green dot for us for many years. Facts. We're going to talk about him a ton as well. I'll be getting some calls, some text messages as well about him and a few other guys out there that are absolutely killing it, putting on a show at the Senior Bowl right now. So definitely he's out there balling. And again, we've talked about him a lot. There's a reason why his name was so praised during last season of college football. This dude was a dog at Texas Tech. Definitely one of those leaders on that defensive side of the football with, height and a few of those other guys. So no, definitely, man. Jacob Rodriguez would be a guy that I think his stock is going to continue to build as the draft gets closer. A lot of people are having right now as a third, fourth round pick. I wouldn't be shocked if he ended up being a second round pick. I truly would not, because again, he's very, very, very talented. Salute to my guy, Alex. All right, let's get to it, you guys. Real quick, the Klint Kubiak situation here. I don't know if you guys seen the initial Tony Pauline report that came out. I believe, what did he say? Let me read this. This is coming from Yahoo Sports right here. Veteran NFL reporter Tony Pauline reported Kubiak will talk to both the Arizona Cardinals and the Raiders. They are the only two teams of the 10 teams with openings that remain open. In the coming days, Pauline reported Kubiak is not expected to go to Arizona. He would prefer to go back to Seattle if so, but he's open to taking the Raiders' job. There have been reports that state Kubiak, who will coach in the Super Bowl on February 8th, may opt in to stay in Seattle in the 2026 season. He can agree to coach somewhere at any time, but can't officially be hired until after the game. This is coming over here from Yahoo Sports. And again, today, I don't know if you guys got an opportunity to see it on Twitter. And it's all over the place as well on Instagram. But Vinny B, former beat writer for the Raiders, put out an interesting tweet today. I know we got a new job. I know he's working with, I forgot where he left the Athletic and went to, I think the California Post. It's like the equivalent of the NY Post or something along those lines, right? But Vinny B put out a tweet. I'm hearing Klint Kubiak's second interview is with the Raiders is scheduled for this Saturday. So this Saturday, you guys, Vinny B put out a tweet. Hearing Klint Kubiak's second interview with the Raiders is scheduled for Saturday. Now, there was some also conflicting reports here. Some people were reporting that potentially it was Thursday or Friday, but it looks as though sometime this week we should be having Klint Kubiak in the building or flying out to Seattle to visit him. I don't know how this is going to go. But again, it's a great sign to at least know that we have a second interview lined up. Now, again, we can choose to take this news with a grain of salt, right? We don't know how real Tony Pauline's, report is. Tony was definitely spot on with the Christian Wilkins situation. Vinny B has been kind of hit or miss with certain things, the Ben Johnson thing last year. But again, Vinny B is definitely a reputable source, and I respect what he does. So he's hearing some things that Saturday we will have him in the building for a second interview, or potentially traveling out to Seattle to visit with. I don't know where it is, a Zoom. I don't know what it is. I'm expecting it to be an in-person interview, whether that's in Seattle or if they're already in the Bay getting prepared for the Super Bowl or in Vegas. It should be an in-person interview, and we should pretty much figure out what we're doing by Saturday. Because if Klint Kubiak does not verbally agree to this job on Saturday, I'm assuming that they're going to move on, reach back out to Davis Webb and say, hey, do you want to be the head coach moving forward? And then you can start looking at potentially Cliff Kingsbury as an OC or some other guys that he could potentially bring with him to put his staff together in play in Las Vegas. But again, this week, conflicting reports, Thursday, Saturday, Friday. I don't know what day it is. All I'm going to say is it looks as though we're going to have a crack at Klint Kubiak for the second time this week. So stay tuned, you guys. This week, I think we should be pretty much in the know of who our next head coach will be. Potentially Klint Kubiak. I know a lot of people want him, or possibly Davis Webb, or if Webb decides to say, you know what, you guys took too long, I'm going back to coach under Sean Payton, which Sean Payton moved on from one of his really good friends, his OC. I don't know if Davis Webb is looking at this as a situation like, damn, he kind of stabbed his own people in the back. I mean, because that Denver Broncos offense, I mean, yeah, they struggled in the AFC Championship with a backup quarterback, but at times they looked really good with Bo Nix out there. So I don't know if this was a move for him to keep Davis Webb around, but it doesn't look too good from Sean Payton's side of things. And there was a report out there today that I seen on Twitter, and I believe it was the OC that was let go, that Sean Payton was in a mood and decided to make a move and got rid of me. So I don't know if that's the kind of guy that Davis Webb would want to continue his career under, which I think that all these guys understand that this is, a rough business anyways. And some people make drastic decisions. I mean, look what we did in 2016. We had one of the top offenses in football, and then we got rid of our coordinator. Then we bring in Todd Downing, and the offense never looked the same again, right? People make drastic, rash decisions all the time in the NFL. Sometimes they end up good. A lot of times they end up worse. And then you end up in a situation where, like with Sean Payton, where he may lose Davis Webb as well if we do not bring in Klint Kubiak. So again, for those who are wondering, VDB put it out there today. The Raiders should be interviewing Klint Kubiak, or he heard Klint Kubiak should be interviewing for the second time this Saturday. And then again, there was a few other conflicting reports about it potentially being even before Saturday. So stay tuned. I know Diana Rossini put out an article and kind of made it seem like there was this like secret candidate. From what I was told, you guys, and I spoke to several scouts, several people kind of, around the situation, that there was never a secret candidate. I've seen some interesting names pop up, the Lincoln Rileys of the world, the John Grudens of the world, right? We're trolling. We like to troll a little bit on Twitter. John, all that other stuff. From what I was told, there was never a secret candidate. It's been Klint Kubiak, point blank, period, the end. That is the guy that they want. And we'll go over some stuff also that I got from a source that works over at ESPN that told me that out of respect, Klint Kubiak has been really quiet with this situation out of respect for Seattle. So take that as you may, you guys. It seems like all the Klint Kubiak noise has been very, very, very quiet. I mean, what noise, right? It's been quiet because of him being respectful to the organization that he's about to play a Super Bowl, coach a Super Bowl with. So, and again, I know a lot of people were out there, including myself, like, why are these guys not giving us any information? I see a ton of people, beat writers that work for other teams, that are the guys that actually break the news for their own teams. And today I got an interesting message. And again, I'm going to read it verbatim, but I'm not going to give you guys a name of who did it or who said it, but someone that works very close, in NFL circles and stuff like that. But I put out a tweet and was like, why in a nutshell, you guys, why is our beat writers really quiet right now? And why are we not getting any information out of Henderson? Like, why has it been so quiet? And anything that we're hearing in regards to our Raiders is coming from the big three, right? It's coming from Adam Schefter. It's coming from Ian Rappaport. It's coming from Jordan Schultz. Like, why is there no information coming out of our own building? You would assume that it's year 2 now. SpyTech has probably built some type of camaraderie with a few of those guys in the building. And it's just kind of he say, she say, and a bunch of retweets from these other guys about what's going on with our Raiders. So I got a message. And once again, I'm not going to put his name out there. It's out of respect. Saw your tweet. Wanted to add some context here. I can't speak for the other members of the beat, but the primary reason you see a lack of presence at the Senior and Shrine Bowl is not the reporter's decision, but the companies they work for are not wanting to use their resources to send them. So I said, thank you for clarifying that, brother. I said, that's kind of wild in regards to not wanting to use the resources to make that happen. And then he went on to say, no problem. His company turned down his request to go to both. As for the coaching search, I don't know how stuff was done in the past, but I was told ownership has been trying to keep things under wraps for the most part compared to years past. So there is some interesting words right there, you guys. They're trying to keep stuff in-house, the Patriot way, right? Tom Brady coming over from New England. You know how they do out there, really quiet, don't like to put too much out there into the universe. Even some folks in the building do not know what's going on. Also, the candidate that they really want is not trying to be a distraction to his current employer. So there you have it, you guys. Some information right there that is coming from a very, very close, very close to this situation, because I was a little confused. I put a tweet out there like, man, what's going on? We're not getting any information. And then 30 minutes later, Vinny B drops a tweet about Klint Kubiak in Saturday, which is absolutely hilarious. Salute to Vinny B. And I didn't mean it as any disrespect. Again, I see a lot of people that attack these guys on the beat all the time. I just expect, look, I'm not here to bash anyone. I'm just here to say, hey, isn't that part of the job? Like, you work for the Raiders, or you work work hand in hand with the Raiders. Why is there not any information being put out there in terms of not even just the next head coach? Why is there no representation at the Shrine Bowl? I'm there yesterday, you guys, and last week, there's no representation. There's some Raider scouts out there, definitely, and I spoke to them, and salute to one of my guys out there that I'm definitely going to tap in and do some more work with here soon. But there was nobody out there like covering these players that are coming into the draft. You would assume that these guys will be on flights, heading out to the Senior Bowl, heading out to the Shrine Bowl, and at least putting out content to let Raider Nation, kind of keep you guys informed with who some guys that could potentially fit on these rosters, who could potentially be a stud that fits in Klint Kubiak's system or Davis Webb or whoever it is. I just thought there'd be some more representation, but I also heard some news as well that a few flights were getting canceled in terms of Alabama and Dallas because of the weather. I know Alabama's weather is not as bad as Dallas, but it sounds like a few people weren't able to make the trip to Dallas as well. I mean, look, I live in Dallas, and it took me 3 days to get to the Shrine Bowl to actually cover the game because of the weather being so bad. So I'm not making any excuses up for anybody, you guys. I'm just saying I'm putting this into the universe so you guys know there's a lot of people asking about why these guys weren't there, including myself, and there you have it. It seems like these companies are not putting the resources into flying these guys out here and covering these events, and then also some people that try to use their own money to go out and cover some of these events. Flights were getting canceled over and over and over. And I believe I seen Adam Hill say something along those lines as well, that he had like 4 flights canceled. So there you have it. Salute to Milo. Kubiak will maximize the production of Genty, Bowers, Mayer, all through surgical accuracy of Fernando. Absolutely amazing. Talk, man. Salute to you on the $10 smackaroonie. My brother, salute to Lecky. No shade to the B Riders. When I hear sources, all I'm hearing is trust me, bro. I don't know what to believe in. Yeah, especially like once again, when you just see these guys retweeting, it looks like the Raiders have an interview with this guy, or the Raiders look like they're doing this. It's like, damn, I would assume that somebody in that building would be, working hand in hand with Spy Tech to push some of this Raider information into the world. But again, it sounds like they're trying to keep everything in-house and everything close to the vest. Salute to my brother, 916, Lecky in the building, man. Salute to Insight as well on a $5 smack. A Rooney. Kubiak, head coach, Kingsbury, OC, and Rob Leonard, DC would be solid. Raiders. Well, we don't know if they're going to hold on to Rob Leonard yet. We don't know if any of these coaches are going to be retained. I'm keeping an eye on Dylan, our running backs coach. Definitely keeping an eye on our defensive line coach, Rob Leonard. Hopefully somebody keeps him around. I would prefer Insight, if you can go QB, I mean, bring Raheem Morris. Raheem Morris would be great. And I don't know if Kingsbury would choose to go to the Raiders because, again, he's not going to be playing. He's not going to be calling his own plays. That's Kubiak's playbook. He'll be the head coach, but he'll also be calling the plays. That is going to be his his bread and butter there. So I don't think Kingsbury would follow over Kubiak. Now, Davis Webb, definitely because of the connection from Texas Tech. Kingsbury used to coach him there. I believe Webb lost his job to Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech, I believe. I don't remember the exact scenario that happened, but again, I know they're pretty close. So if it's Webb, I can see Kingsbury potentially being the OC, but not with Kubiak because, again, he's going to be calling his own plays. Space Beast, all good, brother. All good. Definitely all good, man. Salute to Hug, man, my brother in the building, as always. Look, Taino, honestly, bro, a lot of the scouts that were here last year at the Shrine Bowl were here again this year. Now, there were some new faces. There were a few new faces that I haven't seen before, and I'm not here to say that they weren't, on the former staff or on the staff last year. Maybe they just weren't here. But there were a few missing faces that I was expecting to see that weren't there. And last year, I think you guys remember me telling you at the Shrine Bowl that all of them were really nervous. They were telling me, like, Graphk, I'm going to be honest, I don't even know if I'm going home to a job because of the turnaround. Pete Carroll, Spy Tech being signed the same time as the Shrine Bowl last year. The scouts were very much so worried that, am I even going to have a job after this? And multiple scouts came up to me and said that to me, like, I don't even know if I have a job after this, which absolutely sucked. But it was good to see some of those faces at the Shrine. Definitely, man. Definitely. Salute to Lump. How was the Shrine Bowl? Any QB stand out? That's the one. Gronowski from Iowa was catching out. Yep. He looked good. He looked good. I'm going to be real with you, Lump. Like, he was not probably. He was the best offensive player out there. He looked good. And he put out a block. I don't know if you've seen the touchdown that I put up, Lump, on Twitter and Instagram. I think it was, who was it? Let me see. I got my notes right here. I know it was the kid out of Houston, the running back. I think it was who was it? Was it Connors? I think it was Dean Connors. They got a touchdown yesterday. The young running back. I think he had under 1,000 yards rushing, like somewhere right under 1,000 yards rushing with Houston. But man, he laid a mean block for Dean Connors to find the end zone early in that game. Gronowski looked good. He looked good. He definitely looked good. I would say that, and I think he won offensive MVP as well. He did. He won offensive MVP yesterday. He looked really good. Outside of that, I'm going to be honest, I wasn't intrigued by any of those quarterbacks. Let me see. I'm going through my stuff right here. Clay Kubnik did not dress. He didn't dress up yesterday. I don't know why. He needs as many reps as possible. I don't know why he did not dress. Also, the Texas Tech quarterback did not dress either. I don't know why. He was dealing with a ton of injuries and then ended up getting benched this past season for the current starter. Well, last year's starter. So I don't know why he didn't play. I don't know if it was because of injury. But really, honestly, he was really the only one that stood out. The kid from Kansas looked okay too. But in terms of quarterbacks, Gronowski looked really good. He was balling. I think he won offensive MVP yesterday at the Shrine Bowl as well. Salute to Spivey, my guy. This super is to put positive Kubiak energy into the universe. Salute to my guy. My dog, man. Appreciate you, brother. The Kevin Nash of Mount Shillmore, my guy. And salute to Indiana, man, my brother, man. Gifting 5 OLV Raiders Network memberships. I appreciate you, brother, so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Salute to all the new members here in the building. Because of my guy, Indiana Raider. As always, man, I'll let you know about the combine and keep you updated with the dates, brother. Man, he was a stud. He was a stud. He went out there and absolutely cooked. He was definitely a standout. I think he had 3 sacks yesterday, and he had a strip sack yesterday as well. I think he was the defensive MVP yesterday, Wisconsin's edge rusher. This dude went out there and absolutely balled. So that's another name to keep an eye on, you guys, as we get closer to the draft. Some mid-round talent. Mason Reiger, the edge rusher out of Wisconsin. He had 3 sacks yesterday, and I believe one of them was a strip sack. That kid was out there hooping. And the defensive tackle from Navy also. Oh, my God. I know he's like a little, like a little butterball. He looks very compact. I know the Raiders met up with him. They had a chance to sit down with him, but that kid's a beast. That kid's a beast. The defensive tackle with Navy, man. He was a monster. Let me see. I'm looking at these notes again. I want to see some other guys that kind of stood out. Again, I thought that Dean Connors, the running back out of Houston, looked good. He would be an interesting potential UDFA if you want to add some depth to the running back position. Who else was out there? I mean, we know Malachi Lawrence is a name to keep an eye on. The pass rusher out of UCF, he's a dog. That's a guy that I would definitely take a look at there in the first 3 rounds. He could be a stud. Also, I don't think Skylar Bell dressed. I didn't see him out there at all yesterday. I don't think Damani Jackson dressed. CJ Donaldson looked good. The running back out there with Ohio State, he was all over the place. They had him out there a ton. Who else, man? I got to keep it a buck here. Oh, you know what? Another guy that I want to keep an eye on is Dominic Zavada, the kicker out of Michigan. I got a chance to hang out with him on the sideline and chop it up with him. We both followed each other on Instagram yesterday, and I would love for Spy Tech to dip into that Michigan pool and bring him in. Because, again, I know he had kind of a down year in Michigan last year, but before that, I mean, he was as cold as ice. And I think last year, he missed like a career. Let me see. I want to see how many kicks he missed. Like, he was 17 for 25 last year, which was not great. He missed 8 kicks, but the year prior missed 1. The year prior he missed 5. The year prior to that he missed 1. Had a long of 56 last year. This dude has a boot, 6'3", 187. He'd be a name to keep an eye on, you guys, as a UDFA to bring in as a kicker. I'm telling you now, he'd be a stud. He would be a stud. So if we're going to move on from Daniel Carlson, that is a name to keep an eye on. Yeah, they played the Shrine last night. Yep, definitely. Salute to Robert. Kubiak and Schwartz will feed families. Definitely, man. I just don't know if Schwartz would choose the Raiders situation over potentially the Niners situation or another, I know Patrick Graham took the Pittsburgh job. Maybe there's another job out there that he would be high on. Maybe he even takes a year off. I mean, Schwartz has been around for many moons. I remember when he was head coach in the Detroit Lions for what is it, 3 to 5 years, somewhere in that timeline. I know Stu hates him. Stu absolutely hates Schwartz. But I would love it. If you can bring him in as a DC, this dude is a phenomenal defensive coordinator. Salute to Erica on becoming a member as well. Appreciate you, family. As always, again, you guys, if you want to become a member, hit the link. It's pinned up top. It definitely, once again, helps us keep the lights on. Victor says, I think Dean Connors gets drafted 5 through 7. Okay. I think that he could potentially be a UDFA, honestly. But again, you never know. I think that there is some interesting talent in this draft. There were several scouts that were telling me that they think that this is a very underrated draft. But I got to keep it real, you guys. There was some good players that definitely stood out yesterday, but it wasn't like, oh my God, like this is a can't miss talent. I didn't see it. Salute to Chris Hilton Jr., the receiver from LSU. Salute to my brother Paul. He represents him. That speed was on full display. This kid went out there and killed it during the practice sessions and then flew out, I believe, last night to get out to the Senior Bowl, and he's already out there smoking it with his speed as well. That's another interesting name to keep an eye on, and maybe it's just my personal reasons, but I would love to have a 6 foot wide receiver that could potentially run a 4.2. That's what they were saying at the Shrine yesterday all day long was 4.2 at the combine. 4.2 at the combine. Now, I know that there was a few problems that people mentioned online about him having a case of the dropsies here and there. And, I think he knows that he has to get his hands together. But again, that would be an intriguing option for me in the later rounds, if available. Chris Hilton Jr., man. And he's going to be out there at the Senior Bowl all week. And again, that speed is definitely going to be on full display out there. Salute to Rube. Gentry could be a late round steal. Yes, we talked about him in the DM. He's lengthy and a good cover linebacker. He had tackle issues like the rest of the SC defense, but if he puts on some weight, he could be something special. And I hate the Trojan. Rube, isn't he 6'6"? I think he's 6'6". That's a big dude. I could be wrong. Is he 6'5", 6'6", Rube? That's a big dude, man. Definitely. And I was hearing good things about him as well. Salute to Brave. Good evening, King. Take a look at Anthony Hackerson, running back from Oregon State. He's a legit red zone threat, 1,000-yard rusher, all 4 seasons he played. Brave, I got you. I'll definitely do my homework on him. And I know you're an Oregon State guy, so I definitely will. Salute to my brother. And congratulations on your new show that you're putting together over there on YouTube, my guy. As always, man, much love. Spivey, again, gifting 5. My dog, one of the GOATs, man. And then Hug, gifting 10. He said, I'm not going to get you're not going to beat me to the punch with this one. You guys are the greatest. 15 new members because of Spivey and Hug. Salute to you, my brothers, man. Appreciate you. If you guys want to become members again, hit the link pinned up top, man. Again, it definitely helps us keep the lights on. Thank you, Hug. Thank you, Spivey. You guys mean the world to me, man. Love Malachi. Love Malachi. And I'm not even saying this just because I'm a Notre Dame guy. I am a really big fan of Malachi Fields. Big body, 6'4", great 50-50 ball type guy. I would love to take a look at him. And I heard that he had a really good practice yesterday at the Shrine Bowl as well. The Senior Bowl. My apologies. 6'4", though. I watched him every week go up and get those 50-50. This dude's he's a beast, bro. I love he got some strong hands, too. If he's available in those later rounds, I would love to take Malachi Fields. I just took him in my last mock draft as well. So he's a stud, bro. Almost 3 years listening to this bum. Thank you for being here for 3 calendar years listening to this bum. Salute to my brother Hug, man. Appreciate you, Key. Salute to Chef as well, gifting 5. You guys are the greatest, man. I appreciate you guys so much. So much. Appreciate you, brother. No, Roman asked, there's several Notre Dame guys that I'm not that high on. Okay. Trust and believe. Christian Gray this year is not my favorite corner. Would I take him in the later rounds as a potential developmental type guy? Definitely, but I'm not that big on Christian Gray at all. Salute to my brother LV Maximus as well. For those who are just joining you guys, again, it sounds as though Klint Kubiak will be in for a second interview this week. Again, I don't know if it's going to be at Henderson at the headquarters or if our brass is going to fly up to Seattle or if they meet in the middle in the Bay where they're, going to be getting prepared for the Super Bowl. I do not know yet, but it sounds like we are about to get our way here and potentially have a chance to meet with our hopeful future head coach with a second interview this week. So there's some conflicting reports. Vinny B said Saturday. There were some other reports that came out potentially Thursday, Friday, but it sounds like Kubiak is going to come in for a second interview and he will have one with Arizona, but it sounds like he's not interested in that job at all. So I don't know if he's just doing his due diligence and he doesn't want to be disrespectful to that organization. That could be potentially it, but it sounds like it's either Raiders or bust for Klint Kubiak, or he goes back to Seattle and remains the OC. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. I would love either one. Schwartz is a phenomenal defensive mind. Raheem Morris worked wonders with that Rams defense years ago. And, he did some things with Atlanta as well. I would love to bring in Raheem Morris to be our DC. Either one of those guys, we'd be in for, I'll tell you right now, either one of those guys are upgrades over Patrick Graham and all these other guys that we've had out there calling the defense in the last 5, 6, 7 years. He's definitely an upgrade over any of those guys. The Paul Guenthers of the world. Either one of these dudes would have that defense playing like their hair was on fire, for sure. Let me see. Vinny said Saturday. Vinny said he heard it was Saturday. So again, take that as you may. It could be before then. Again, I read some intel that I got from somebody, really close and works with the organization that the Raiders are keeping everything very much so in-house right now. So, yeah. June, bring in some Wolverines. Go blue. Come on, man. Come on. Hey, shit. That kid, that edge rusher went out there and absolutely blew up that Miami offensive lineman out there at the Senior Bowl. I'll tell you that. But there's some talent on that roster. There's some talent on that roster. Definitely, give me the kicker, though. Give me the kicker, June. Go ahead and give me Dominique Zavada. Bring him in to replace Daniel Carlson and run it. I was sitting there next to him on the sideline as he was practicing the whole game, and this dude, he got a cannon on him. That dude has a cannon on him. So, but yeah. Yeah, but him, Derek Moore, Michigan was not that good this year. But Derek Moore is a stud. And I think There you go, Bodega, Derek Moore. And again, his stock is starting to rise as well off that one clip that's going viral. You know what I mean? So that's good for him because I was seeing him available in a lot of these mock drafts, you know, in the fifth, sixth round. So he may end up being a second, third round guy. You just never really know. Never really know. Countless holes in our roster, question mark. This comes from lazy and pedestrian Raider hating media. We'll be fine. Mendoza and one more spy tech draft and all we need. Well, let me say this, Milo. I don't think that's lazy and pedestrian, brother, to be real. There are countless holes in this roster because, again, we have 20-plus free agents, right? Now, do we have some cornerstones? Definitely. You have Brock. You have Genty. You hopefully have Fernando Mendoza. You have, Michael Mayer, who I think is going to be a great 1-2 punch with Brock. If Klint Kubiak comes in, I think that would be fun to watch that duo with that offense. You got JPJ and you got Max on the edge, right? There's a few. But again, there are a ton of holes in this roster. There's a ton. And rightfully so. When you have 20-plus free agents, I mean, you're pretty much going to have a whole new roster going into next year unless you bring some of these guys back. And I would stay away from most of them. I don't think there's any reason to bring back most of these guys at all. I mean, Stokes definitely, and we've talked about it. You know, maybe Malcolm Kuntz is more of a rotational guy. There's a few guys you potentially take a flyer on to bring back on the cheap. But, you know, this is a beautiful free agency period for us because we're kind of trimming the fat. That whole Landon Roberts, Devin White, Jamal Adams trio there at the linebacker position, we're going to get a lot younger there. A lot younger there. And then again, the offense, Kappa, he has one more year left on his deal, but you can get out of that and save you some money. He'll be gone. Parham has not been great for us. He's a free agent. He's out of there. But again, if we have a ton of money, you can build, put some pieces in free agency and then build this thing the right way in the draft with, I believe, 10, 11 draft picks right now, which you can even get more if SpyTech chooses to trade back like he did last year. To pick up some extra draft picks. Yes, LV. Definitely is. Definitely. I mean, everybody that's reporting about Klint Kubiak right now, it's still Raiders or bust. Simple and plain. It's either Raiders or he's going back to Seattle to be the OC. Simple and plain. So it's up to him. Honestly, it looks like Klint Kubiak is the number one option, clear cut, and that Brady and SpyTech want him to be the next coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. But again, Seattle's they're gonna try everything in their power to keep him around as the OC and to take advantage of that Super Bowl window that just opened up this year. Maybe they make him the highest paid OC in football and they give him a nice little deal to remain. But I think the Raiders, Mark and company are gonna cash out, and hopefully this weekend we have our guy. Real, do you think people shit on our roster because of our record? I feel like bad coaching overshadowed our young talent, especially on offense. Our O should not have been one of the worst in the league. I agree. And I think that, I know a lot of you guys won't agree with me on this, but I think Chip Kelly got axed way too early. I think that he was the scapegoat in that situation. I think that if he, didn't have Brennan Carroll in the way and who absolutely destroyed that O-line, I think that offense would have been a lot more high-powered. It would have been a lot more fun to watch. Again, everything happens for a reason, right? They shit the bed. Now we have the number one draft pick, and now we can get our quarterback of the future. But again, I do believe that this roster was really, really bad. Now, I don't know about 3-14 bad. I think that we should have at least been somewhere in that 5 to 6 win range. I mean, you should have beat Jacksonville. You could have beat Chicago, right? There's a few games that were in our sights. The Denver Broncos 10-7 game, we could have won that. There was a few games there that we could have pulled off. You know what I mean? But we were a really bad football team. But on that offensive side of the ball, I think the guys that have a ton of intrigue are the guys that Carroll refused to play, which is, Kayla Rogers, our young kid out of William & Mary, Charles Grant, again, Jack Besh. I think we do have a lot of talent on the offensive side of the football. I just think, especially with the JPJ injury and the Colton Miller injury, that really set us back. But I think if anything, Rube, we had maybe a 5-12 kind of roster. I think we could have maybe potentially won a few more of those games. But again, we were a really bad football team, honestly. The defensive side of the football now, I think that We lacked a ton of talent over there, especially the second level of our defense. And then opposite of Max, not being able to get really any push, any pressure on the edge opposite of Max. That definitely set our defensive line back as well. Salute to my guy, Rube, man. Salute to Chef Curry. I wanted Teddy Buchanan last year from Cal. Me too. I got a chance to cover him at the Shrine Bowl last year. He was a stud. He was a stud, man. Salute to June. Agree on Zavada. Michigan had a down year last season, but the before last season, he was money. Facts, man. Facts. I would love to bring that kid in. He's a good kid, too. He's a really good kid. Let me see. Spivey says, Graphk, I think you're 100% right about Kelly. Hey, look, man, I'm not the biggest Chip Kelly guy. I'm not the biggest fan of Chip Kelly, but I do believe that he was just kind of given dealt a really bad hand with Brennan Carroll. Again, what OC is going to be great, Spivey, if you can't commit to the run with with a guy that you drafted at number 6, right? Like how? Like what? How can you get that offense rolling when you have Geno Smith, who's a turnover machine anyways? The offense was supposed to go through Ashton Genty to set up the passing game through Brock Bowers. You couldn't get the ground game going. So next thing you know, Geno's forced to go out there and throw the football around, and next thing you know, he's leading the league in picks. So, let me see. Andy, it sounds like Arizona's high on Mike LaFleur. So that may be the move for them. That definitely may be the move for them. So let me see. Get some more questions, you guys. Alazed, he is with the Commanders right now. That was a kid that we were really high on coming out of Illinois. He's out there. He's out there with the Commanders. He's played pretty well up to this point. I think that he hasn't lived up, to where they drafted him. But again, he's been a good piece for that defensive line out there with the Commanders. Get those questions in, you guys. Once again, we went over a few guys that shined at the Shrine Bowl. Again, Wisconsin's edge rusher, Mason Reiger, man, was a baller. Keep an eye on him, potentially in those mid-rounds. He won the defensive MVP yesterday. We talked about the QB out of Iowa who won the offensive MVP yesterday as well. Gronkowski, he looked really good. Also, you know what? There was another one that I wanted to bring up here, you guys, real quick. Let me get out of here. There's a few other guys. Landon Robinson, I talked about him, the defensive lineman out of Navy. I believe the Raiders had an interview with him, sat down with him as well. He's another name to keep an eye on. We talked about Eric Gentry from USC, was hearing really good things about him this week. Also, man, I talked about Jalen Daniels, also the kid out of Kansas who looked good. He had a touchdown yesterday on the ground. He looked okay. But I'm not really that high on him. Talked about Dean Connors, the running back out of Houston who had a touchdown. He played really well. Keep an eye on Yeager Burton, another offensive lineman from Kentucky. That kid is a stud. If the Raiders end up with him, I would not be pissed off at all. Keep an eye on the name Yeager Burton, you guys. Kentucky, offensive lineman. Dude's a baller. And then Darrell Jackson as well, the Florida State defensive tackle. Lewis hearing really good things about him also. Rodriguez Kanawa's Senior Bowl, not Shrine Bowl. He was not at the Shrine. He's at the Senior Bowl, but he is out there killing it right now. Definitely. So, and that's a guy that we've talked about a ton that I would definitely look to bring in the draft. Space Beast, yes. Safety, Kobe Bryant, which I was very high on out of Cincinnati. Big fan of him. Rashid Shaheed, all-pro kick returner / wide receiver, right? Would love to bring him in. That'd be fun. When's the last time we had a really, really dynamic kick returner? That'd be fun. Tariq Woolen, boneheaded in the NFC Championship. Thank the Lord his team made up for his mistakes. But again, big body corner that I was really high on coming out of college before Pete Carroll drafted him. I wouldn't have any knock on bringing him in. Kenneth Walker again. I don't know if you want to pay that kind of money. I think he's going to get paid a nice chunk of change. If he can stay healthy, Kenneth Walker can be one of the better backs in football. And then George Halani, Rube's guy as well, man. It would be fun to watch the Boise State connection right there. George Halani. I know Ashton Genty would absolutely love that. And then again, Mike, another name, Jerome Ford, another interesting name. Jerome Ford was a stud coming out of Cincinnati. Loved watching his game. Loved watching this game. And he did some things with Cleveland as well, for sure. So, Ricky, you know what's funny, man? I think this Saturday, if I can, I will. I don't know what time it starts. I'm gonna take a football break this Saturday. I'm gonna watch Royal Rumble, man. I'm gonna watch Royal Rumble with my kids and my wife. Order a bunch of pizza, get some snacks, and then watch Royal Rumble before my flight early Sunday morning out to Atlanta. So, but if the time doesn't mess up, because Royal Rumble starts at 12, if it lines up the right way, I'll definitely watch, or I'll watch it back. I'll just record it and watch it back later. Salute to Rube, man, my dog on a $50 smacker-rooney. My brother Rube is definitely one of the GOATs over here at OLV Raiders Network. Extremely hot take. Our offense is as talented as the Bills other than the quarterback. Colton is better than Dawkins. Okay. I agree with you on that one. JPJ is better than any of their interior. I agree with you on that one. If he can remain healthy. Same thing with Colton. Genty is close to Cook. Okay. Cook is a dog, man. Cook is a monster, bro. That man had a massive year for Buffalo. Their offense was pretty much ran through him this year, right? Honestly, like that. Didn't they have a top ground game in football this year? I think they had a top ground game in football this year. And Mayer and Bowers are better than Dalton and Knox. Wide receivers, both. Okay. To be determined with the wide receivers. I know they have more namesake, right? More notoriety than what we have. But I think that Besh can be phenomenal. I think that Dante, when he develops, he'll be on a tear. Trey Tucker is really good. And I think he'll be better in year 4. But some hot takes here. Some hot take. Now, Genty could be better than Cook for sure. Right now, he's not. But can he be better? Oh, yeah. There's a reason generational was thrown. That word was thrown around with him coming out of Boise State. He should be a top 2, top 3 running back easily in football with a real O-line coach, that can have their guys prepared each and every week. I'm actually shocked that Genty had 975 on the ground running behind that abysmal O-line and Brendan Carroll. Nasty work. But, hey, man, I don't really know if that's extremely hot take. Dawkins is really, he's a really good left tackle, but when Colton's healthy, Colton's one of the better left tackles in football too. JPJ, I agree with you, man. I agree with you. But Genty, I'm going to pump the brakes on that one just right now because Cook is, if not, number 1, number 2, or number 3 running back in football right now. There's a reason why he held out and got all that cash from Buffalo. He deserved every single dollar. And I love the Mayer and Bowers connection. And to be real with you, I'm a Dalton Kincaid fan and I'm a Dawson Knox fan too, but we're better because we have Brock by himself. So I agree with you. I don't think that's an extremely hot take. Rube, I think you might be on to something, brother. Facts. Appreciate you, man. Milo, Graphk, would you trade up for another pick in the top 10 for an elite receiver or an edge rusher? I'm not trading up for a receiver. If I did, it'd be an edge rusher. But again, what does that entail? How much do you have to move? We have a lot of holes on this roster, Milo. So I don't know if it makes any sense to move up. I think if anything, SpyTech will move back there like he did last year, potentially out of the second, pick up some extra 2/3 or some extra picks. We have too many holes on this roster. So I don't know what that would cost you in order to move up. But you're not going to get another top 10 pick. If you want another top 10 pick to go get like a Ruben Bain who will be gone early in the first, you're going to probably have to part ways with the future first and some other shit to move back up from the top of the second into the top of the first. So, but if I did do that, I'm going to get an edge rusher. I think that's clear cut more of a need for us. Honestly, I do. And look what Klint Kubiak did with JSN out there in Seattle. I mean, JSN was already a baller, but look what Kubiak did with him this year. Made him one of the top wide receivers in football. You know what I mean? So I can only imagine what he's going to do with Tucker out there and Besh and some of these other guys. And again, we're going to get another guy through free agency. We'll probably get one through the draft and another one or two as UEFAs. If it's Klint Kubiak, he's going to find some guys that are going to work in that system. Salute to my guy Milo, man. Appreciate you on the $10 smacker, Rudy. Crash Dog, sup, Graphk? Any new news? Anything outside of the Raiders? What Vinny B put out there was we're supposed to be meeting with Klint Kubiak on Saturday. Now, again, there was conflicting reports that the interview may be earlier than that, as early as Thursday. Something to monitor. It may be tomorrow. So, but what Vinny B said, he heard it was Saturday, but there was some other conflicting reports that potentially it could be tomorrow. Insight, Rumble winner. I got Roman and Y2J. Oh, Y2J is definitely returning. I don't know why Roman would win. Because we'll get off the wrestling stuff real quick, but he's a part-timer now. He's shooting movies and all that stuff. I have a hot take right here, Insight. Hot take. LA Knight returns and wins it. I think Brock is going to throw Braun Breaker over the ropes, and then they lead to WrestleMania to fight each other. And I'm hearing that potentially Seth may be coming back as well. But I have a dark horse, LA Knight. So it's my guy. Yes, just right. Tony Pauline, I think, said it could be tomorrow. Yes. And he was speaking to some people at the Shrine Bowl. Again, you guys, there were a ton of Seattle Seahawks representatives. The first day of practice when I went, I think the Seahawks had the most representation in that building. Philly had a ton, but Seattle had. I went into the hotel, the Omni, afterwards to have a coffee, and I was swarmed by Seattle scouts and advisors and all that other stuff. So I wouldn't be shocked if Tony Pauline spoke to those people about the Klint Kubiak situation at all. Let me see. I would love it. They're hyping him up, right? Brave. I just don't know if it's too early for that. I don't know if they put him in a spot for that just yet. I would love to see him in what's the kid that came over from AEW? Who just came over right now? It was the buff dude. Will, what is his name? I forgot what his name is. I would love to see them go face to face in the ring. That'd be crazy. The dude that just came over, was it Will Hobbs? Powerhouse Hobbs. There you go. Robe, if we end up with the second top 10 pick on draft night, I'm going to be like the Titans fan who was happy that they got a pick, then a heart dropped to his ass when he knew it was for AJ. 2 top 10 picks for the Raiders mean Max is gone. And that's probably more than likely the scenario there if you end up with 2 top 10 picks, Robe. Definitely. That'd be the only way that I see, because again, if you want to move up from the top of the 36, I believe, that's going to cost you a ton of future draft. I mean, you're giving up a first year pick, or a first round pick next year in a deep class. I don't think that Spy Tech would want to do that. That is a win now move. And I don't know if Spy Tech thinks that we're just there yet. Yes, you're right, though. I think if the only way we end up with another top 10 pick is if the Raiders, move Max, which I don't agree with. I think that would be nasty work. I want to see what he looks like out there with Fernando Mendoza and potentially Klint Kubiak. I think it'd be a fun year. Rube is my dog, man. Appreciate you, brother, so much. Tyler, man, what's up, Graphk? What's good with you, brother? Salute to you, man. Always good to see my guy Tyler Rogers here in the building as well, man. Appreciate you, brother, on the $20 smackaroonie. Yeah, Royce Keys, and it's because his son's name is Royce. So we changed his name, which I'm not mad at all. Get those likes up, you guys. Make sure you wipe them feet. Also, hit that subscribe button if you guys are not subscribed yet. As always, I appreciate every single one of you guys for being here. We're just going over some of the Shrine Bowl stuff, the news of Klint Kubiak. It looks like sometime this week, you guys, we should know who our quarterback. We'll know that in the draft, and I think we all kind of have a good idea who that will be. Our head coach here very, very soon in the next 3 or 4 days. Again, if it's Kubiak, we have to wait until after the Super Bowl to officially sign him. Now, if it's Davis Webb, if Kubiak says, hey, I'm going to go back to Seattle and, I'm going to bet on myself for another season and catch the next cycle, then Davis Webb can be signed immediately. Now, is that something that he would want to do after we potentially get turned down from Klint Kubiak? I don't think that happens. I think that Klint Kubiak is going to be the next coach. I do. I think that all signs are pointing to him being our next coach. But again, if he, decides to just return to Seattle, keep an eye on Davis Webb as early as Saturday, or as early as the end of this week for him to be the next guy. But it's clear cut that they have their option one, who is Klint Kubiak, and then there's Davis Webb. So stay tuned for that. Let me see. Salute to my guy Sky High. Been hearing Browns DC forcing his way out with the Monken hire. What's your thoughts on Kubiak? I would love it. I would love it. Again, Sky High, I don't think there's a connection there. And I think that I said at the beginning of the show, I think the Niners would be an interesting place for him to go, honestly, because of them losing the ball. Him going, well, the ball, our Dable, but Salah going to Tennessee. They lost their DC. I can see them potentially looking at Jim Schwartz to be the guy to come in and be the dude for them to take Salah's job. I'm looking right now. My apologies here, you guys. I'm looking to see if there's any kind of connection in terms of Klint Kubiak, because I know he worked for the Lions, Tennessee, Baltimore, the Buffalo Bills defensive coordinator in 2014, the Eagles DC 2016 to 2020. Then went back to the Titans as a senior defensive assistant 2021 through 2022. Yeah, man, I don't really know if there's a connection there. And I don't know if he would want to go to the Raiders, where we're going to probably have a whole new defense in place. Why wouldn't you want to go potentially? And I don't know. I don't even know if the Niners would want him. I don't know. But again, you got Fred Warner and Bosa and all those talents. I think that he would potentially look at trying to go to more of a win now situation. And I think that would work for him. Raheem Morris, man. Raheem Morris. Another guy off of, coming from that McVay tree, man. Former DC over there with the Rams. I think that makes a ton of sense. Once again, I think the Kubiak Raheem Morris connection would be phenomenal. I think that would be potentially the way to go. Salute the Bodega in the building. Scott, man, appreciate you on becoming a member as well, man. That means a lot to me, brother. Thank you, man. Salute to all the new members in the building today. You guys have been great. Welcome to Green Dot Gang, my brother. If you guys want to become a member again, hit the link. It's pinned up top, man. Again, it helps us keep the lights on over here. Yes, PG is going to the Steelers for sure. For sure. He's going to go over there and work with McCarthy, and we'll see what that thing looks like out there in Pittsburgh. They have the talent on the defensive side of the football, but we'll see what it looks like. Eldridge, I don't know yet. I still have not done my homework in regards to losing Patrick Graham. I don't know. Let me see something. Do Raiders get a comp pick for Patrick Graham? Yes, the Las Vegas Raiders would have received compensatory picks, potentially 2 third-rounders if Patrick Graham left. No, so he'd have to be a head coach. Due to Rooney Rule's incentive for minority coordinator promotions, but he resigned with the Raiders. This was last year. I don't think you would get a comp pick unless he took a head coaching position. I could be wrong on that, though. Again, these rules are so crazy, man. They're so crazy. So that I'm going to do some homework on that, T. I'm going to do some homework on that. I don't know how that works right now. Yeah, definitely. They were saying potentially 2/3 if he would have been the head coach. Okay, Q, yeah. Only if he becomes a head coach. So we're not going to get anything with him going to Pittsburgh. So there you have it. I am one of the most clueless people in the world, you guys, when it comes to comp picks. I'm telling you now, that is something that I just cannot keep up with. I really, truly can't. Sauce, look, bro, I can't really give you any update with that in regards to his ceiling until I know who the next head coach is. I just know that Mendoza's ceiling is very high. He's the Heisman, went undefeated, won a national title. He's going to be the number 1 pick. Look, I think that he could be one of the top 5 quarterbacks in football, given the right situation. And if Klint Kubiak's the guy, I think that he will work wonders with him. Again, he's very accurate. He can make every throw. People say he doesn't have a strong arm, blah, blah, blah. Strong enough. Okay. And he has everything right here between the ears. So I think his ceiling is very high. Very high. Very high. And let's just say, I think his basement, I think is still a very serviceable quarterback. Again, people say Kirk Cousins, right? I've seen some Matt Ryans. I've seen, those type of guys, the Goffs of the world. But I think that he can be a better player than all those guys. And Matt Ryan's a former MVP, played in the Super Bowl, should have won one. Goff, he's been there as well. Let me see. And he said a lot of AZ sports channels believe Kubiak will pick Raiders over Cardinals. Yeah, he definitely will. It's already been reported that he's not even a fan of the Arizona situation. And who would be? Andy, I mean, look, man, this is no knock to you guys. You guys have some talent. But again, it's just a bad situation. Is Kyler Murray going to be the quarterback? Are they going to move on from him? And if so, who's the next guy? I don't think it's a good situation in Arizona. I think you guys made the right call for getting rid of Gannon, which I think he's going to work wonders with Green Bay and that defense. But I think that Kubiak and Mendoza would be phenomenal. And I think that Kubiak understands that. Yeah. Dunker is nice. And he's a guy that I've seen anywhere from the first round to the third round, Lewis. And I personally have him potentially at the guard spot at the next level, not at tackle, which would be great regardless. Because again, I think Charles Grant is potentially going to be the right tackle for us, and you can kick Dunker in. But he's a dog. He's a dog, man. He's one of them ones for sure. For sure. Let me see. Get a few more questions in, you guys, before we get out of here. Let me see. Talked about that. We talked about the Shrine Bowl. We talked about Dominique Zvada. Let me see. We talked about Tony Pauline's article about Klint Kubiak. Again, for those who are wondering, he will interview for the Raiders and Cardinals possibly this week. And it sounds like he is not high on the Arizona situation at all. And it looks like he may be just doing that, out of respect. But talked about that. We talked about this as well. Yep. We pretty much talked about it all, man. Get a few more questions in, you guys, once again, before we get out of here. John says, you missed mine. Let me go find it real quick, brother. My apologies. I did not mean to do that at all. Let me see. I cannot see Fallon's comment. I'm looking. Hold on, y'all. Bro, I don't see it. Just put the question in the comment section, brother, and I got you. Other than that, also, you guys, we may be live at Hammer's channel today for a little while. I'm still under the weather, so I'm going to try to get me some soup and get some food and stuff. But we should be celebrating Hammer's 40th today on his page. If he does go live, I'm probably going to pull up over there for at least 20, 30 minutes before I go lay it down. So if he does decide to go live tonight, you guys pull up to Hammer's channel. You guys make sure to wish our brother a happy birthday. And we'll definitely be over there kicking it if he decides to. If not, he'll probably end up putting it together tomorrow. So stay tuned. I know he's out tonight with the family. So if he decides to do it tonight, I'll pull up at some point and kick it with him for a little bit. Salute to Taino, my brother in the building as well. Markel Bell, left tackle for Miami, 6'9", 345, needs to be a Raider, one of the biggest guys in the league. Yeah, man. And the thing is, I know a lot of people are beating him up right now, by getting kind of cooked, by the edge rusher out of Michigan. But it kind of looked like he low-key slipped too. Jason, did you see the tweet? Did you see the video that's kind of going viral right now? It looks like he kind of tripped a little, like he slipped a little bit. But either way, I mean, he got absolutely smoked on that rep out there at the Senior Bowl. But that's a big dude. That's a mammoth of a man, bro, for sure. We'll see where he goes. That's a big dude, though. 6'9", 345. Wowzers. D. Rich, I think if Cliff Kingsbury comes, he's bringing in KK, Klint Kubiak. It's Kubiak, right? Somebody was laughing at me for saying Kubiak, right? You guys know I butcher names. Brian Dayball, Kubiak. I'm known for that, okay? Brings in a D assistant from Houston, had a relationship with D. Ryan from San Francisco, also knew him as a kid with his dad. Was like, oh, okay. We'll see. I know one thing. whatever, he has the staff in play already if he decides to be the Raiders' next head coach. Simple and plain. He already has a staff already locked and loaded. And you know for sure somebody's going to be following him from Seattle. If not a few somebodies following him over from Seattle. And I wouldn't be shocked by that. But okay, I'm going to keep an eye on this one right here. You heard it first here from D. Rich. Houston had a relationship with D. Ryan from San Francisco. Also knew him as a kid when his dad was the head coach. Okay. Salute to my guy D. Rich on a $5 smackaroonie, man. Let me see. All right, I think we got everything. But other than that, you guys, love and appreciate you all. I'm gonna go spend some time with the family before Hammer goes live, if he does, and I'm gonna pull up on him and come hang out for a little bit. I'm also gonna do my homework a little bit more. I got my official roster right here. I'm gonna go do a little bit more homework, dive a little bit more deep into, all these guys that were out there playing this week. And then I'm gonna do some senior bowl homework as well. I know a few people that I'm close with that are out there, covering the Senior Bowl week as well. So got a lot of homework to do leading up to the draft, but free agency is right around the corner as well. We're going to be good, though. We got a lot to talk about, but keep an eye, potentially, you guys, on Klint Kubiak this week. It sounds like he will be interviewing for the second time with our Raiders. Sal says, Genty's live right now. He loves the Seahawks offense. I'll tell you one thing. Dylan Lowby put like on that Klint Kubiak post that I put on Instagram immediately. So sounds like Dylan is pretty high on the thought of Klint Kubiak coming in as a head coach as well. So who wouldn't be, man? Look what he did in Seattle. Look what he did early on in New Orleans that year he was out there. This dude, he's a great mind. He's a great mind. Another name hearing a lot, Brave, is and we're going to talk about that whole staff out there and some of those guys that could potentially follow him if he ends up being the head coach. So stay tuned for that. But other than that, you guys, as always, love and appreciate every single one of you guys. Appreciate you for rocking with me the way you guys do. Hit those likes on the way out. Wipe them feet. Also hit that subscribe button if you guys are not subscribed yet. We'll be live at least another couple times this week before I head out to Atlanta Sunday. So Saturday, if we hire our coach, we'll be live. We got a Graphk and Wasted show coming up this week as well. So stay tuned. We got a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on in Raider Nation. And I want to talk more about the Senior Bowl as well. So stay tuned. Love. Outro. Wow.